Alrighty.
I'm
Could you
just
still record?
gonna I'm just gonna start the stream and just see if it's working because my overlay
Okay,
it's not showing that. It should be showing Discord right now, but it's not showing Discord.
I got you.
So I just want to make sure it's always streaming our voices.
Test 1 2 1 2 1
That
Well, I
2.
need I
that
need to go on YouTube to make sure it's actually streaming first. God.
YouTube's
that
lame.
that's better, Mike. Maybe just try a bit more. You're close.
Okay.
Um, oh yeah, it's live streaming. It's gonna be a black screen with voices.
Okay.
So
Post
let
the link.
me here. I'll
Can you
just
like, can you like put a picture up of like something there?
um
Like I don't know what. I mean something memey.
I don't know what do you want me to put up there.
Oh wait, here. I'll send you a picture. I'll post it in the text recording chat.
Alright, I have an idea.
I have an idea. Wait.
I can do the presidential flag.
Yeah, that works.
No. Put this as the picture
Where are you putting it at?
in the recording text
Oh
chat.
my god, I
Yeah,
hate
put the
you.
presidential flag.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a special presidential flag. Why have I not seen this?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I think it's just the seal of the president, right?
Oh, is
Yeah.
it? That's
Yeah,
gonna be
just a
awful.
seal.
Oh, that's such a bad flag. Oh, the
Um,
vexologist in me is like screaming.
There's a
But
bunch of people
yeah,
asking
sister, make
about the
sure you
debate.
post the link in general.
Yeah. Post it in the presidential chat too.
Whoa, that's trippy.
Test 1 2 1 2 1 2.
You're so quiet.
It's better, Mike.
Yeah, it's better, but I don't know. So quiet.
All right.
I think now it should be recording the Discord. So I don't think we're gonna need a thing.
All right. Put the link in general for me.
Oh wait, why does it say live streams offline? Start streaming. Should be streaming. Should be. Don't quote me. Oh yeah, it's working, guys. We're gooch.
Yeah, we're gonna get shit missing here.
Um, tell me when you guys are like when we should start.
I'm about ready.
Yeah, can you post a link to it
Yeah,
so I
I'm
can start giving it to people?
trying to find the live stream right now so I can change the name and everything. Here we go. I'm just gonna make the description presidential debate.
Okay, so for the introduction, when I say your name, I'm gonna pause and then allow you to say hi. Everybody understand?
So we're just saying hi now. Alright, just hi.
Opening statements will be 3 minutes, by the way.
What do we have to do for that?
You're gonna give your opening statement of the debate.
I have to give an opening
Alright, just
statement.
hi.
What does that mean?
Opening statements will be 3
the
minutes, by the
questions.
way.
What do we have to
Did
do
you
for that?
not like
You're,
you
you're
got the
gonna give your
questions
opening
beforehand, right,
statement
system?
of the debate.
I have to give
They're
an opening
questions,
statement.
right?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Opening
very
statements
good.
will be 3
The
minutes, by
questions.
the
You,
way.
you looked at the questions?
Yeah, I looked at the questions.
Have you like written anything down for the questions?
No.
Interesting.
Because I already know my answers to all these questions, so I don't really need to write anything
Hold
down.
Alright. 3 a little long for opening statements, by the way. That's a bit longer than what I've written.
All right. Stream is live, so
Wait, my opening statement is just what? What? I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
It's
you're
like you're.
why people want to vote for you. Say why you think people should vote for you.
Oh, because I'm a
And
great
your,
guy. I
and your
got it.
general beliefs. And your
Alright.
general beliefs. All right. Share the link to the
I
main
did.
server. Okay. And we're gonna
Oh,
just
to
wait
the
people
main
to
server? Oh, I put the link to the live stream in the recording text channel.
At people. That would be nice.
What do you mean at people?
Like at everyone.
is that recording text channel? Why do I need to add people? Oh, you mean put it? Oh. I understand.
Yeah, yeah, in the main server.
Yeah. I got you.
Put it in news as well as along with general channel. Oh wait, I have the link. What am I?
It's in general. It's in news. It's in president debate channel.
I'm gonna just wait about 5 minutes. This will give me some time. Oh wait, we're live. I just remembered that.
Yeah, we've been live.
Oh yeah. So 5 minutes till debate. Is anyone watching?
Let me click. Participants. No, not yet. Well, no, it says 6 are watching, but it's not telling me who they are.
Are we okay linking this server to the other server?
I'm not. I don't want to get a flood of people.
Yeah, I would rather not have everyone in this chat. I have a feeling we'd get some memers, if you know what I mean.
We have 7 people watching right now.
All right.
Wow, I already got a boo. System, you suck. Wow. Thanks, guys.
All right. I guess we can start.
You know what? I'll subscribe to you.
Hey.
All right. We're gonna start live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the first ever AGS audio debate. I'm executive editor of the Model Talk. Bach. I'm not saying my real name here. I will be the head moderator for tonight's debate, and I am joined by AGS Mod as assistant for my assistant moderator, Mike Smith.
Hello?
So tonight we have the opposing sides of the political spectrum. We have the nominee for the Democratic and ROP parties, Polk,
Greetings, comrades.
and representing the GOP and the right wing is System.
Howdy.
As for all debates, we are going to have a set of rules. Rule number 1 is no real life or meta attacks or personal attacks will be made during the debate. Do you understand, nominees?
Yes.
Understood.
You will have 2 minutes to answer every question, and then 1 minute after to rebuttal your opponent. You will be given cues when to do which. Do you understand?
Yes.
Understood.
All right. And then you must respect the moderator's decisions. Do you understand?
Yes.
Understood.
All right. So we're going to do a coin flip for who starts first. System, I'll let you decide what side you want.
Heads.
It is a heads, so that means System will be the first to answer questions. How this will work is I will answer a question, I'll ask a question, and then Mike will ask a question. So, first question is, what do you think is wrong with America? System, you have 2 minutes.
Okay. First, I believe a major issue with Americans are the people rely too much on the federal government. We need to bring the power back to the states and have the people less reliant on the federal government. The federal government isn't here to hand out money to everybody. The point of federalism is the head government shouldn't have a big impact in your life. Your local government is supposed to have the biggest impact. I also feel that a huge issue with America is how easily people are offended by other people's words. I believe that the freedom of speech should protect all speech, and we need to educate the new generation on how the good old saying, "Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me." That statement should still be true today, but it's not. We need to have our next generation, who will be leading our country, we need to make sure they aren't going to be easily offended. They need to have thick skin. I also believe that a huge issue with our nation is the media. I think the media is going way too far. It's just, you can't trust, each side is like not wrong, but they're biased. We have to bring it back to when politics were first on the news. There was no bias. It was just what was going on. We just need to bring it back to the good old days. And that's all I gotta say.
All right. Poke, your chance to answer the question.
All right. So first and foremost, I believe that by far the largest problem in America today is the rampant inequality we have. The CEO in America, the average CEO, makes 380 times what his average employee does. Now, that's not the janitor. That's not the lowest paid employee. This is the average person working at his company. I don't see how anyone can argue that that's acceptable. He's not working 380 times harder than the average employee is. I personally believe very strongly that people should actually be rewarded for the amount of work that they do. To System's point that people are too easily offended nowadays, I'm actually going to argue the opposite. There are too many people in America who purposely say things to try to be offensive and to be edgy. Whatever word you want to say, whenever you want to say it. Just because someone told you can't use a slur does not mean your freedom of speech is being infringed upon. Just because you got kicked off of Twitter for being a neo-Nazi does not mean your free speech is being infringed on. I agree with System that the federal government often does overreach, but I think these are for very different reasons. I think System would probably point to bloated budgets, things like welfare programs, as signs that the federal government is too large. Well, I disagree. The federal government is, I think, biggest overreach is definitely in foreign policy, where we try to act like the police of the world. I mean, just take a look at the Middle East and what we're doing over there. I mean, take a look at my namesake on the name server, Salvador Allende. He was overthrown as the president of Chile after being peacefully elected democratically because we didn't agree with his ideas. I don't understand how anyone can consider that acceptable.
Are you complete now, Poke, or?
Yes, that's it.
System, you now have the floor to give her a 1 minute rebuttal.
Well, I'm just going to start with what you said last about the foreign policy. I completely agree. I feel like we should stop being the police of the world. We need to bring our military back and only support what happens in America. If we are attacked by a terrorist organization, then we go and fight around the world. We shouldn't be given involved in other countries' political affairs. If they democratically elect somebody that we know will ruin their country, it's not our problem if their country's ruined. To go into your talk about economy inequality, I strongly disagree with that. I feel private businesses should be allowed to pay whoever how much they want, as long as it's above the minimum wage. And the minimum wage is there for a just a minimum. Most states have their own, and you can't force private businesses to pay their employees a certain amount. For freedom of speech, I somewhat agree with you to an extent on it, and I don't really have a good response for your freedom of speech yet, because I somewhat agree. And your first one about offensive words, I do agree with that. Your first. So, from what you've said so far, I don't really disagree with much of it. It's only your
System, you're over time.
Oh, I haven't been timing it. You gotta let me know then for future.
Is that right? Is that right? That was my bad.
All
All
right,
right,
thank you.
Poke, you have the floor. 1 minute.
So, where to start? I think, first of all, I want to point how it's funny that when I point to Salvador Allende being peacefully elected in Chile, system points out that if we want to let other people ruin nations, that's fine. That's subtle jab that Salvador Allende's ideas would have ruined Chile without actually coming up to the forefront and saying it. Next off, I still haven't seen any evidence that systems provided that a CEO is working 380 times harder than his average employee. He says that companies should be free to pay people whatever they want, and that's, you can make that argument, but that doesn't mean that the people deserve to be paid that much. Under our current system, are they free to pay that much? Yes. Does that justify our current system? Absolutely not.
Is that all, Poke, or do you have
Yes,
more?
that's all.
Alrighty. Mike, I will give you the floor to ask your question.
Okay. Who answers first? Bach.
Poke.
Poke.
Uh,
All right. What are your thoughts on making certain public universities tuition free in order to continue investing in the future of the country? Should college be free for all Americans?
I'm answering first, correct?
yes.
Free college. I don't agree with it. I think, personally, I think it's wrong. That's just putting the federal government in even more debt. It's going to be very expensive to pay for. But I think it depends on how it's put into place. Overall, unless it's put into place correctly, I would say no. But if we, for example, use the SAT, and if you score over a certain point, you can be eligible to get free college, I feel like that would be a good solution. Because I do feel like people should be allowed to go to college even if they can't afford it. And it's very tough how colleges are becoming more and more expensive, and you're not really getting any benefit from the more expensive tuition. So I think if you show you're smart enough, you should be allowed to get free education. Because someone who's straight A's want to go to college, and someone who's getting F's should go to college. I believe that straight A student deserves the free college more than the straight F school student. 'Cause that just shows the desire to achieve. Um, I mean, that's really my only thoughts on free college. It's if we put it into perspective, we have to put it in the right position. We can't just give it for everybody. It has to be a select few that deserve it. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Am I answering the question now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. So, starting off, I'm going to pin this link to System in case he wants to dispute it. It shows that the average price of college tuition since the year 1980 has risen by 260%. Honestly, in America, education is supposed to be one of our biggest equalizers. If you look across every single area you can, race, gender, how much money you grew up with, the largest indicator of economic success is your education. There is no reason why we should be potentially barring people from entering into public universities where they can receive a proper education to not only help themselves, but to also help the nation as a whole. The system points out that if you get Fs, you shouldn't be allowed into free college. My rebuttal to that would be, if you get Fs, you wouldn't be accepted into college now anyway. Making college free doesn't mean anyone can go to whatever college they want to go to. They still have to be accepted into college. I would argue that even making college free would probably make colleges even more competitive than they currently are, because there'd be an increased number of people that want to attend colleges.
Is that all, Poker?
That is all.
Okay, thank you. All right.
I guess I'll start.
1 minute rebuttal.
Yep.
Begin.
All right. So, first, I just want to say I didn't disagree, and I firmly agree with Poke on that college is too expensive. And I believe that colleges are taking advantage of federal grants, giving them money, and they're still raising their tuition. I think that, yes, college is too expensive, and we should either force them to lower the prices or stop giving them public funding. But to say that all colleges should be free will improve competitiveness, I don't think so. Because if someone's, just for example, if someone's rich, why should they get free college? Just throwing out an example there. I feel like you have to, if you can afford college, you should pay for it. If you can't afford college and you're smart enough to go to college, then I believe you should get free college. And I'm done, and that's also my time.
All right, thank you. All right, Poke, 1 minute. Begin.
So, System makes the point that if you can afford college and you should be able to pay for it, I would argue that the tax burden for a free college plan would almost certainly most heavily fall upon the richest Americans, which would mean that they essentially are paying to go to college under a free college plan. System wasn't really able to come up able to go to college if they are smart enough to do so. There's no reason why, just because someone was born into a lower class family, they shouldn't have the opportunity to continue the educational career that they want. And again, not only live a better life for themselves because they were able to get better education, but also to better our economy as a whole because we have more educated workers who are going to be more productive, increasing the prosperity for everybody. I don't see how
All right, and your time has expired. Thank you.
And then System, have you done your 1 minute rebuttal?
Yeah.
Okay. So therefore, I will ask the next question, which will be: Are you prepared mentally for the office of president? Go ahead, System.
I have one thing to say. I believe I am a stable genius. And I believe, yeah, I should be able to be president quite easily. It's mentally, I think I am okay. I mean, I don't have any signs of showing that I'm mentally uncapable. And I mean, I don't really think there's much I could talk about on this subject. It's more of a personal opinion if you're able to do so or not. There's no facts to back this up, so I would say yes, I am, and I'm done.
Alrighty. Thank you. And now, Poke, your turn.
Yeah, I would say I'm absolutely mentally prepared to be president. Not only does my previous experience in other government simulations, such as Model US government, where I've served as a 2-term representative for the state of Sacagawea, prove that I not only can handle myself properly in an elected position, but that I am also familiar with the current American political system and ready to deal with any problems that I may face as president.
And is that all?
That is all.
Thank you.
I have one thing to say. I think Poke is more than capable of being the president. I see no issue with him being president. That's all.
All right. Thank you for the short rebuttal. And now, Poke, please go ahead.
I mean, I would also like to point out that System has shown an inability to take this debate seriously, with his first response to this question being a meme about President Trump that he posted on his Twitter. I think this is like perfect evidence that System isn't mature enough to handle the position of president.
And is that all?
That is all.
Alrighty. Mike, you have the floor.
Okay. Next question. What is your stance on upholding the Second Amendment, and what should be done to combat gun violence?
Second Amendment. I believe Second Amendment is a very big right. It's why it's second in there in the Bill of Rights. The curb gun violence. I don't think restricting guns is gonna solve gun violence because that'll only lead to illegal arms deals becoming more prevalent. And why are you going to punish legal gun owners for people that illegal crimes do? People committing illegal crimes. And I just feel that the only way to truly solve gun violence is more education for guns and just very, very strict laws in place that if you commit a crime with a weapon, you will be thrown in jail for a longer time. We need stricter sentences for gun crimes. I mean, and that's all.
Okay. Thank you. Pope, go ahead.
So yeah, I'm actually gonna agree with the system on this issue. To quote Karl Marx himself, under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered. Any attempt to disarm the workers must be frustrated, by force if necessary. I strongly support Second Amendment rights and strongly support arming workers. I also, of course, support more gun education to make sure that we're not just giving random people guns. People obviously need to be safe when they have firearms around. That is all.
All right. Thank you.
Obviously,
Rebuttal?
there's not much to argue about here. We both are in agreement here. And just to throw out a statistic, according to Washington Post, 79% of gun crimes are committed by people who aren't legal gun owners. So to punish the other, say this has 18% of people that are legal owners of guns is just unfair, and it's hurting the community as a whole. That's it.
All right. Thank you. Poke again.
Yeah, I think me and System pretty much agree with every point in this question. More people should own guns. We shouldn't make an attempt to discourage that, but there should be more education about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty. What? Oh, how will you keep foreign nations from acquiring nuclear weapons? System, 2 minutes.
Oh, this is fun. How will we stop foreign nations from getting nuclear weapons? I feel as though there's no real solution to doing this, as we see with North Korea, for example. They've tried a lot of things. I don't want to name the wrong administration, but I think it was the Bush. It's either the Bush or the Clinton administration gave them, I believe it was a couple $1 billion to stop their nuclear program. So I think there's no real way of stopping a nation. Because as we see, we've sanctioned them. Still nothing happens. They're still progressing. So the only real way is either accept them as becoming a nuclear nation and allowing them to have it, or we're going to have to use military action. That's the only way of stopping this from them getting nuclear weapons is military action. And I think that's really our only solution in this is military action, because we can use North Korea as an example. Diplomatic solutions and economic solutions don't work. I'm done.
Alrighty. Poke, you now have the floor. 2 minutes.
So I'd like to point out that since 1988, there has been a group of scientists has maintained a measurement called the Doomsday Clock. What it basically represents is a clock, and once it strikes midnight, that's supposed to be like the chance of us having a global catastrophe. The clock was recently moved 2 minutes towards midnight because of the instability between President Trump and Kim Jong-un and potential for a nuclear crisis to occur. That being said, I'm a strong supporter of mutual nuclear disarmament for every nation. Honestly, the only reason why a nation in the modern world needs nukes is because other nations have nukes. If we are able to put the first foot forward and show that we are willing to nuclearly disarm ourselves, I see no reason why other nations wouldn't follow in our footsteps so that we can work together to create a safer world for everybody. That is all.
Alright, thank you.
Start with, I only disagree with one part of what you said. You said mutual disarmament, and we should take the first steps. That would just be throwing us to the wolves. If we get rid of our nuclear arsenal, that'll just let nations that are enemies to us bully us. We'll see that mutual disarmament won't work. It's a great in theory, and I would love for it to work, but how can we enforce making sure all nations get rid of all their nukes? We see with Iran and North Korea, they didn't listen. Iran hid their nuclear program for a while, and how do you plan on doing this? There's no way to successfully disarm all nukes, and possibly knowing every single nuke in the world is disarmed. And that's it.
Alrighty, Poke, 1 minute.
So I would like to emphasize the mutually part of mutually assured disarmament. Basically, what we'd be doing is saying, we will give up our nuclear weapons if you give up yours. And I think the fact that we know that Iran tried to hide a nuclear weapon program shows that our inspectors are more than capable of being able to successfully sniff out when foreign nations are not obeying nuclear weapons treaties. We've seen it happen over and over again, whether it be in Iran or in North Korea, where both times our inspectors have successfully discovered those nations violating previous nuclear agreements when they're trying to make nuclear weapons. I see no reason why we can't just expand this and have it be universal.
And is that all? Alrighty. Mike, you have the floor.
Okay. What is your reaction to the Monarchist Party? Would you be able to work with them in your administration?
Would I be able to work with them? Yes. I feel our relationship has been shaky. We've been friends, enemies. It bounces in between, but as the party leadership, I am open to bipartisanship between any party, whether it's the communists, Democrats, libertarians, monarchists. I don't care. I don't want to disjoint a government. I want to make things work. That's all.
Alrighty,
All
Poke.
right, go.
Yeah, I think I absolutely will be able to work with the Monarchist Party, as is evidenced by my vice presidential candidate, Colorful Future, who is the head of the Monarchist Party. While I don't support the implementation of a monarch as the head of an American state, obviously, I think the Monarchist Party holds some values that I can agree with and we can be bipartisan about and working towards. That is all.
And
Okay.
I agree with him. And to put out there, I also forgot my vice president candidate is also a monarchist, Kyle_Smile. And I agree that we don't want a monarchy ruling over America, but I do strongly support a bipartisanship deal with them. That is all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot for me and System to really disagree on here. We both, with our vice presidential candidates, have shown that we are willing and able to work with the Monarchist Party.
Alrighty. So therefore, I'm going to ask the next question. If you are elected to president, what will your major goals be while in office? System, you have the floor.
Our major issues are going to be immigration, tax reform, Second Amendment rights, and First Amendment rights. And I believe that at least two of those things will help the economy. Immigration will help the economy, and obviously tax reform will help. I mean, there's not much to talk about here. It's what we're going for. Poke, you can go now.
All right, well, obviously this is a pretty big question, and a lot of it depends on what happens in the Senate and House races. But some of the largest things I would like to address are America's honestly atrocious foreign policy right now. Our prison system, where we are essentially using prisoners as slave labor, rampant inequality that exists in America, police brutality, and rampant discrimination that occurs at all levels of government. That is all.
Alrighty, Poke, you have. I'm sorry, our System. I am so sorry. System, you have 1 minute to rebuttal.
Yeah, I agree with him that we need to work on our foreign policy and our prison system. Those two things need to be fixed. I believe we agree on those two things. Prisons, I think we need to not privatize it. It's corrupt. We need to fix it. Foreign policy, we shouldn't be the police of the world. I'm not sure if you agree with the police of the world issue, but I think we need to bring our troops home and stop getting involved in foreign affairs. That is all.
Alrighty, Poke, you have the floor.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that we need to bring our troops back home. I mean, we made the frankly terrible decision to invade Afghanistan, which is known as the graveyard of empires for a good reason. We spent huge amounts of time and money to get absolutely nothing there. Same thing with Iraq. We failed to establish an actually stable regime there, and our actions directly led to the power vacuum in the region, which contributed to the rise of ISIS. We've obviously shown that we are not capable of acting as police on a world stage.
Are we ready for the next question? I
Yes.
lost track. All right, go ahead, Mike.
All right. Do you think there needs to be work done at your level to calm the tensions between the black community and the police?
At my level, at the presidential level, should there be? Yes, because I would say overwhelmingly the black community has a negative view of the police. Meanwhile, the police are risking their lives every day for no matter what race you are, the community of the American people. And I believe that just because a few bad apples are doing things that are wrong shouldn't affect the community as a whole. The police do an amazing job. They're here for a reason. They're protecting lives. And just because of a few people, it shouldn't destroy their reputation. And I feel as president, we need to enact some sort of policy, law, something to, or just public outreach, something to help the community bond together and become friends again. Like, we are all American citizens. We shouldn't be hating each other just by what job you have. That's all.
All right.
Am I going now?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I think obviously that race relations are an issue in the United States, but unlike system, I don't want to pin this on the black community. I think they very much do have a fear and mistrust of the police, but that's pretty justified considering the overwhelming amount of unarmed black men who have been shot by police repeatedly, and then our judicial system's failure to prosecute those police officers after the shootings occurred. We've seen this happen over and over and over again. And frankly, I can't blame them for being afraid of the police. The actions that the police have taken are completely indefensible and show that not only this isn't just a few bad apples, this is a systemic problem within the American police system that we as a people need to work to tackle. That is all.
I would just like to come out and say I did not pin the problem on the black community. I said that I think we should have better relations between the two. I was not blaming the black community. I was saying the few apples who have committed atrocities, and whether they should or shouldn't be in jail depends on their situation, if it was justified or not, which I don't want to get into because people have different opinions on the situations. Some are justified, some were not, and I feel like it's just the healing process should be both sides, but the blame should mainly be on the police. That's all.
Thank you. Poke?
So yeah, I don't really feel like this is an issue that needs to have a healing process on both sides. I feel like the police are very, very clearly in the wrong here, and have shown themselves to be repeatedly in the wrong by murdering black people repeatedly, and afterwards not facing any kind of punishment. This isn't an issue where there are good people on both sides. This is an issue of a police system that produces bad police officers and then allows them to stay in the police force. Many of the police officers that committed these atrocities were then allowed to stay in the police force and keep working as police officers. I think that's completely unjustifiable, and I don't think that anyone can defend that. That is all.
Thank you.
All right. So the next question shall be, should companies be forced to go green? And if so, how? Poke, you have the I'm sorry, System, you have the floor. I am horrible at this.
Go green. I don't think we should be forcing it so much. Like, yes, there should be some restrictions, but I don't feel like we need to be like just coming into their work and say, if you don't do this now, we're gonna shut you down. I guess there should environmental should be a big issue, but to an extent where we have to force them to go green, and going green in how. The question doesn't specifically say go green by like better energy usage like wind and or solar, or green in the sense that they're not CO2 emissions need to be lowered. Because I believe that our policies at the moment already suffice, and we shouldn't tackle on any other environmental restrictions on businesses. That's all.
Alrighty. And then now, Poke, you have the floor.
I think companies should absolutely be forced to go green. I think that climate change is one of the leading threats to American national security. I mean, we can look just at the state of Florida. If current trends continue in the next 30 years, or not the next 30 years, next 50 years, apologies, the state of Florida is slated to lose over 50% of its land to water. 75% of people's homes currently will be lost to climate change. If you don't think this is an issue, you honestly need to wake up. Companies need to be forced to go green because right now they represent the vast majority of the CO2 emissions coming from America. I think it's important to note that while we aren't the leading producers of CO2 in the world, we're pretty far up there. And if we want to really make a big statement, forcing companies to go green, whether that be by offering tax cuts for companies that have certain amounts of emissions from green energies, or whether that just be mandating that they have to have a certain amount of their energy come from green energy, it's something that we need to do in the very near future if we want to keep most of our nation above water. That is all.
Alrighty.
All right, so I would like to start off with just saying I would agree with him on if we were to offer tax cuts to businesses going full green, I would agree with that. To say that climate change is heavily result of CO2, I would disagree with, because as scientists have stated before, and most scientists do agree, the Earth goes through times of changing between heating and cooling, and to say that we are solely the problem of this heating up is just wrong. Why should we have to put restrictions on businesses even though it's a natural occurrence? But I mean, to be honest, we have very different viewpoints, and there's only one point of agreement between us would be the tax cuts if they go full green. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my stance. I don't believe we should force environmental policies onto them, and tax cuts would be great if they do go full green. That's all.
Alrighty. Mike, you have the floor.
Okay.
Do I get to rebuttal?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So I'm glad that system has come forward as a man-made climate change denier. And I'm glad that also he has cited scientists because, well, scientists overwhelmingly don't agree with him. In the past 10 years, 98% of research papers published by scientists that did not receive funding from oil companies concluded not only is climate change happening currently, not only are humans primarily responsible for it, but is also an imminent threat to humans as a species. I have not seen a single report from a credible scientific organization that states that climate change that's happening right now is not primarily because of human action.
All right, next question. What is your take on the current state of the economy?
Our current state of the economy, I would have to say it's amazing. We see unemployment are hitting all-time lows. For example, the black community has just hit an all-time low within unemployment. Latinos are on the way down there. They're about to hit their all-time low. The stock market is going up. We are seeing tax cuts are going to the American people. The corporate tax level is going down. We see businesses giving bonuses and wage increases to its peoples, such as AT&T giving bonuses. We see Apple pledging to spend, I think it was $350 billion. Don't quote me on that. I believe that's the figure in America. I think it said causing 20,000 new jobs to open up within America. And I think we're on a trend up. Just there's nothing to really be upset about within the economy right now. I yield my time.
Okay, thank you.
So, well, I think we have seen numbers like our GDP growth and the Dow Industrial Jones index continue to climb. What we haven't seen is an actual improvement in the situation for the average working class people in America. Over 82% of all new wealth created in 2017 went to the top 1% of Americans. Yes, our economy is continuing to grow, but my question is, where is the growth in the wealth from that economy going? It's being funneled into the richest Americans who are then just sitting on it. They don't even need this money. These are already the richest people in the world, and for some reason, we find it acceptable to just continue to funnel money into them that they can just sit on, that they haven't worked for it, and that they frankly don't deserve. I think you can continue to point to low unemployment numbers, job growth, and stuff like that, but the fact of the matter is the average income for a working class family has stalled while prices are continuing to rise. The economy is growing, yes, but the situation for the American worker is getting worse and worse. I think we have to look at serious solutions to that problem, because frankly, if the current trend continues, we are not going to have a middle class anymore. That is all.
Thank you.
For talking about how the middle class hasn't been getting help yet, I feel like we can't accurately depict what's going to happen to them because the tax cuts and the wage increases haven't gone into effect yet because it just happened. I feel we should bring up this policy issue in the future again, this topic of discussion, because once we get some actual evaluation from government sources and non-government sources on how the middle class has changed over the next year or two, I feel that'll be an accurate representation of our economy and how it's going. And yes, to his point about the 1% getting richer, I mean, that's going to happen within a capitalist society. There's nothing you can really do about that. And they already pay, I believe it's 20% of our taxes in America, so why should we be making them pay more when they're only the 1% of America? That's all.
Thank you. Next question.
Yes.
Rebuttal.
Oh, yes, Poke's rebuttal.
So yeah, I like how at the end system just admits that all the wealth going to the 1% is obviously just a product of capitalism, and I would like to say that, frankly, that's why I oppose it as a system. 1% don't do enough to generate the amount of wealth that they're earning. Shareholders of giant companies aren't generating wealth, they're leeching off the values of the average, or the value of the wealth created by the average working people of America. When you go into work and you work, you are creating value. Your employer is not paying you that full value. The value that he is stealing from you is being funneled up into the 1%. We've been doing this for years and years and years, and no one's caught on, and no one's called this out on how this isn't acceptable. I don't understand. People like System will continue to justify this by claiming that the 1% work hard for what they've earned, but they can't provide any source actually proving that. I still fail to see how shareholders from companies are actually doing work. That is all.
Thank you. Alrighty. So, just for this next question, I would like to stay in the future. Candidates do not talk out of turn. The moderators will signal you to talk by saying "go ahead" or something along those lines. This was submitted believe yesterday before the debate. So this is a statement, and it's asking, do you agree with it? Traditional marriage and family based on marriage between one man and one woman is the foundation for a free society and has for millennia been entrusted with rearing children and instilling cultural values. Do you agree with this statement? System?
I'm partially confused by this statement. I don't completely understand what it's asking.
Do you need me to clarify?
If you don't mind.
Alrighty. I'll just stop your time real quick so I can just reread the question. It's asking if you agree with this statement. And the statement is, traditional marriage and family, based on the marriage between one man and one woman, is the foundation for a free society and has been for millennia, and is entrusted with rearing children and instilling cultural values.
Well, I mean, that statement is true because it's talking about the past. I think in the future we need to become more tolerant with gay marriage and whatnot. Um, Personally, I believe marriage between man and woman, but I don't believe we should prohibit gays from becoming married together. I think if they are happy together, they deserve to be together. It's just I would not support um like for example if like I don't know how to put an example out there like if they want to be together, they deserve to be together. I don't support them being together, but if they want to, they can. Um, but for the past, I think that has been the case that being straight has had a big impact on society as a whole. But now, as more people are becoming gay or all the other type of sexuals, we need to we have to adjust to them, and that'll help society go in a new direction, which hopefully will help us rather than hurt us. That is all.
Alrighty. Poke, please go ahead.
So yeah, I absolutely do not agree that traditional marriage between a man and a woman is the foundation of a free society. I consider myself a strong ally to the LGBTQ plus community, and personally, I have not seen any evidence that suggests that gay couples are any less capable of raising children than traditional couples are. If someone has those statistics, I would love to see them. But I think the question's kind of just based on a false narrative that the straight couple is the correct way for humans to operate, which is frankly an incredibly homophobic thing to even suggest, if you ask me, especially when there is no evidence being provided to support that claim. That is all.
Alrighty.
Oops, sorry.
1 minute rebuttal. System.
Just to clarify, because I don't know if I said it wrong, I don't believe being straight is now the status quo. I believe that for the past it was the status quo. And I would agree with Pogan saying that I don't think there's any evidence to support that gay couples are less of a good parent than straight couples. I just on my own beliefs, I don't think that should be a thing, but I will not stop them from being together. That is all.
Alrighty. Poke, you now have the floor. 1 minute.
So yeah, I think System definitely said some questionable things in his statement. I'm not going to call him homophobic because I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he was confused by the wording of the question because he did ask for clarification, so I'm not 100% sure if he understood it. But I would just like to reiterate that being straight currently in society is the norm in how we see it. If someone is telling you about a couple and they don't use any gendered language, the average person will automatically assume that they are a straight couple. And that's not correct. We shouldn't have an assumption like that. And yeah, I'd just like to say that LGBTQ people should have an equal place in society. Their marriages are just as valid as straight ones. That is all.
All right. Mike, you have the floor.
Okay. This question was sent to me before the debate. Given the recent uptake in usage of certain social media services like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, just to name a few, how has free speech and the subsequent racism affect your policies and ideal democratic nation?
We were just debating this in the president chat, and I don't think it has changed any of my policies necessarily because we don't have any direct policies that have to do with racism or social media or anything like that. We don't have any downright specific policies like that, and we have more general policies that we can work out the kinks with bipartisanship support in the future. So this issue isn't an issue I'm really educated on, so I don't want to give a bad explanation of my point because I don't really have a stance here, so I'm just going to give the floor to Poke.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Poke.
So yeah, I think that with the rise of online immunity, we certainly have seen an uptick in racist comments and otherwise not acceptable comments being made online. And while I am a strong believer in online anonymity, I believe it's something that has allowed us to have important political discussions like we're having right now without potentially putting our personal lives up for question, and it allows people to raise questions that wouldn't otherwise be able to be raised. People that make threats online or make overtly racist or homophobic statements should be held accountable for your actions. If you post something racist on your Facebook page, your employer should be able to hold you accountable for that, because someone at work might not feel comfortable working around you after you said that. That is all.
All right, thank you. Rebuttal?
Again,
Go
I don't
ahead.
really have a specific stance on here. I'm not very educated with racism online as a whole, if it's an issue or not. And I'm just gonna say I would disagree with what you do in your personal life should necessarily cause you to get fired. This is me no way, shape, or form saying racism online is a good thing. I do not support racism or homophobia, anything like that in any sense, but I just think that what you say is protected speech, and you shouldn't, depending on, I don't know, it kind of depends. I'm just going to retract my statements because I don't have a good opinion on this situation. I'm done.
Thank you.
Oh. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Yep. Did you get a rebuttal, Poke?
All right. My rebuttal now?
Yes.
All right. So I would like to say that System very clearly was opinionated about the topic in the earlier presidential debate that was happening. When me and the chairman were saying that people should be able to be held accountable for what they do in their personal lives, whether that's partying after work and then showing up to work drunk, or whether that's posting something racist on your Facebook page, that companies should be allowed to hold people accountable for. System actually argued the exact opposite, and this chain of argument continued for about 5 minutes. I think System's kind of embarrassed by the remarks he made there, and that's why he's denying having an opinion on that now, even going to the point where he is willing to admit that he's not educated to be able to dodge the question. That is all.
All right, thank you.
All right. So for the next 15 minutes, what we're going to do is the nominees are going to be allowed to ask each other questions and then answer them. Since System had the first turn when it came to the moderator questions, System will be able to ask, Poke will be able to first ask System a question and then vice versa. So, Poke, go ahead and ask System a question.
Alright, so System, I want to ask you for the basis of your beliefs about climate change, that it's not primarily man-made and that it's part of a cycle. I would like to see some scientific evidence that supports that claim.
So, climate change, the Earth goes through cycles of heating and cooling. I'm not saying that. I think that we're speeding up the process. We're not solely reliable for it happening. I'm just saying that we're making it go faster. I don't know if does that answer your question or no?
Yeah, that's good enough.
To be honest, I don't really have any questions. You can just keep asking me questions.
Alright, in that case, I would like to ask you, do you think it's acceptable that bosses continue to leech off the values of workers' labor? And if so, why?
Can you rephrase that question?
So bosses inherently, or let's just say stockholders, so not confuse bosses with managers, do not inherently generate any value. What they do is they own shares of a company and do not contribute to that company in any way, and then continue to leech off the value that the average workers of that company create. Do you think this system is acceptable, or is it not? And if it is acceptable, why?
I think it's acceptable. They are free to do with their money as they wish. If they want to buy a stock, so be it. Why do I think that? Because I think that's just how, without sounding like dumb, like that's just how capitalism works. If you want to invest your money in however way you wish, why should we stop you from doing so?
So, what makes that superior to a system in which workers democratically elect their own managers and receive the full value of what they produce?
Because I feel that, like, for example, the U.S. government is built on federalism. I think that the same thing should be in the workplace. There's a system of who is who talks to who, like who runs the show. The CEO of the company is not going to affect the average worker as much as their shift manager will. I think that people should have certain not qualities, but I'm having a brain fart on how to state this. Like someone who has a degree is more qualified than someone without a degree. Like something like that. Like you have to have qualifications. Someone might be more qualified for the job than someone who might be democratically elected. I think that the system we have in place is good because it gives the people most qualified for that job the job.
So, why don't we just extend that argument to our government? Why should you not get a say in who runs your workplace, but you should get a say in who runs your government? Should we not then move to an oligarchical system where the most qualified individuals elect who runs our government?
I mean, to honestly, the people, I mean, if we're being constitutional here, people don't really have a say in who runs the government in a sense, especially for presidential. Some states have laws in place to prohibit their electors from voting against them, but they don't have to vote for the people's wish. So necessarily the people don't really have that much of a say in who they elect. So I mean, oligarchic system I think can lead to not corruption, but almost kind of like corruption because they might be the most qualified on paper to run the job, but are they going to be able to run it efficiently? For example, Trump has no qualifications to run this country, but with him running it, we see the economy is growing. So I think that shouldn't be a main issue of who runs your company or not.
I mean,
I have a question for you.
go ahead.
What specific plan or policy, if you have one, do you have for not curbing, but like stopping the police brutality, for example?
So the largest change to stop police brutality that I would like to see is actually disarming the police. So I don't think that the average police officer in America should have a gun. And before you go crazy on me saying that would never work, I'd like to point out several nations where this is already the case, and that's systems that we could surely learn from.
Mm-hmm.
Currently in the United Kingdom, France, Italy, and Japan, the average police officer does not have a gun. I don't think that the average police officer responding to the average call for the police needs to have a gun. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We already have elite police forces like SWAT that could possibly respond to armed and violent crimes. Why does the average police officer need to be armed?
All right, thank you. Is that a counter question to me or no?
Yeah, I would like to see you answer that.
I feel that the average police officer should be armed because there's that you never know. You could be going up to someone at a just normal stop on the road speeding, and they could pull a gun on you. And what are you gonna do? You don't have something to fight back with. They could just shoot you, and you have no way to protect yourself. And I also feel like police will be able to respond faster than SWAT. You brought up SWAT. If there's, for example, a school shooting, and there's police officers already around the school, you're going to want to make them wait there and wait for SWAT to get there to stop it. I mean, and you brought up Japan, but Japan already has a low crime rate. The crime rate there is extremely low because they have their culture there. It shames you for committing crimes. That's why they don't need guns. And you can't really, like certain countries, you can argue that the no guns for police is good, but like Japan, I feel like isn't a valued argument. And I don't know if I answered the question, but I feel like police officers should have a gun just to protect themselves because of how high crime is in our country. Police officers aren't safe on the job.
So, do you think the vast? All right.
Hold up. I wanna rebut here. I wanna ask a question. So, Mr. Polk, you said before on question 4 that I asked you, you said that you agreed with system and you quoted Karl Marx about the workers having guns.
Yes.
So that how does that not contradict what you just said just now?
Well, I think that the average individual should be armed, but I don't necessarily think a government police force should be armed. I think that's the key difference. Because the police force are the enforcers of the current system that we have at hand, while the average individual is the one that, more often than not, is being oppressed by the current system that we have at hand.
Okay.
So the enforcers of the system should not have weapons, but while the people who are being oppressed should be able to have weapons.
You mentioned the UK, and they're not allowed to have weapons.
Correct. The police officers are not allowed to have weapons. The average police officer is equipped with a baton.
All right, thank you.
All right, so this is one for system. Do you think that the average police officer, like what percentage of the incidents that the average police officer responds to, do you think are violent?
I wouldn't know. I don't just look up averages like that. I would say it's probably not. I would probably say it's under at least 15% to be under. I don't think violent ones happen that often. I think it's a small amount, but if that saves the lives of the police officer, I think they should have one. And and what you call it? Just never mind. That's my statement.
All right, well, you would be correct in your assumption that it's less than 20%. The FBI statistics on that back you up in that claim. So I'd like to ask, why can't we just do a little bit of police reform so that we can have one system of police that are completely non-armed and who will respond to non-violent crimes, and one system who are armed for potentially more dangerous crimes?
But how can you know if the crime is dangerous until the police gets there? Like, as I stated, for an example, a normal routine pulling over someone for speeding or blowing a stop sign, it could get violent immediately. How can you justify having that cop there basically defenseless and just gonna die? You're just letting the police officer die.
I apologize for interjecting. There's 3 minutes left on the clock before closing statements. You may carry on.
So I think that I would argue that most of the reasons why these confrontations turn violent are because both sides are armed, right? Like, most of the time a criminal shoots at a police officer, it's probably because they are feeling like their life is in danger,
So
because they know the police officer is armed.
Are you justifying someone killing a police officer because they felt threatened?
Oh, absolutely not. But I'm saying that I'm not justifying their actions. I'm saying that this is what they're thinking, right? You can explain what someone's thinking without necessarily agreeing with it. So when a criminal sees a police officer with the gun, they feel threatened, and that's why they're more likely to shoot. I think if they knew that, right? But criminals, we can't just paint criminals as mindless animals. Criminals know that,
obviously, yes.
If they shoot someone, especially a police officer under our current laws, they will receive much harsher penalties in court. If they knew that the police officer wasn't armed, I think they'd be significantly less likely to engage in violence against them.
Now, are you saying the person's a legal gun owner or illegal gun owner?
Either or. I don't think it particularly makes a difference.
If they carry a concealed permit license, they are legally obligated to hand over the weapon, and if the police officer asks them to get out of the car, they are supposed to.
Right.
So would you say that? So does that escalate tensions if the cop asks them for their gun?
I mean,
gentlemen, it is now time for closing statements. You will have 3 minutes to give a closing statement. System, you may go first.
All right. I would just like to thank our 2 moderators here today, Mike and Back, and I would like to also thank my fellow debater, Poke, over here for a good debate. And I would just like to say I hope for all you guys that are watching this, you side with me and you vote for me for president. And just to reiterate, I believe that Poke here is a great candidate, and if the people wish for him to lead, he will be a great candidate. He will lead us well. But I believe that overall, our policies will lead to a greater America, and it will help out the average everyday American. And I hope that in the future we can have bipartisan support on certain policies, as we've stated throughout this debate. And just God bless America.
Alrighty. Is that your final statements?
Yeah, I don't have much to say.
Alright. Poke, You have 3 minutes to make your closing statements.
Like System said that we're really both good candidates, and that if either of us elected, it would be fine. I would like to agree with him, but unfortunately, I think that throughout the course of this debate, System has shown that he is not mature enough to handle the office and not educated enough about the issues. I mean, there are just several times where System had to say that he wasn't educated enough about the issue to give a response, or that he didn't understand the issue. I don't understand how someone who received the questions for a debate beforehand could not be educated enough about the issues that are happening in the debate to be able to answer the questions properly. I wish I could say that the American people had a real choice between me and System, but frankly, I don't think they do. I think that if you want a president who isn't going to be a joke, that I'm the only candidate that you can vote for. Thank you.
Is that your final statements, Poke?
That is my final statement.
Alrighty, we are about to enter the post-debate show, so I would like to ask the 2 candidates to either mute their microphones or to leave a voice channel for the moment. And I'd like my panel to turn on their microphones. Math is going to take a minute to go, so get ready. He needs to grab his mic. So yes, if you're still watching this, or if you're watching this post-production or post-livehood, I am Bach. I'm the executive editor of the Model Talk, and I am joined here in the post-debate panel with a AGS moderator, Mike.
Hello.
Politiphile, who
Hello.
is the chairman for the Democratic Party, correct?
Yes. Hello.
And then we're about to be joined by the head moderator of AGS, Math, in one moment. Before we go into the meat of things, what did you two think about the debate in general, and how the debate was ran by Model Talk?
Is this a question for me and System?
Sure. We'll have the candidates answer. Sure.
Can you restate the question?
Sure. How did you like how the debate was handled and ran by Model Talk?
It was good. It was done well.
Alrighty. Poke?
Yeah, I generally agree. The debate was done pretty well. I liked getting the questions beforehand, so I could just kind of look at them and have some statistics and such prepared.
Alrighty.
I think it went well.
Yeah, I think this will set a good precedent for elections to come.
I mean, I will say I would like to see this for future elections. I agree with System. I hope this sets a precedent.
I would like to see this with like 8 different candidates going back and forth.
Oh,
I can only imagine how fun that would be.
Oh boy.
come on now, Math. Get on already.
I might have to go to.
I do think shit memery should have been in this debate.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
He was very shy about it, I'll say.
He wasn't shy about commenting in the text.
Yeah, I think he said something about like not being in the correct environment. I'm guessing he's in like a public space right now or something. I don't know.
Oh, so did he decline to debate then?
Yeah, he said he'd like to some other time, but he couldn't tonight.
Oh.
Alright, I'm going to give about Math 3 more minutes, and then we'll just go start the panel for reasons. I mean, the main thing was that this was just meant to be recorded, so we're good.
Yeah, I'll just keep this up on the YouTube channel.
How many viewers were we getting?
There's like a static 9.
Nice.
while
Yeah,
we
and
were
I-
debating.
I didn't even have it open to boost the viewer numbers. Nice.
I'm sure a lot of people probably watch it after the live stuff too.
Yeah. Someone's
Yeah.
got to make a highlight reel.
Oh, I'll edit that. That's amazing.
I was
That's
watching
a
the
really
chat
good
like the whole time.
It was all mainly RLP members.
I was watching the Discord chat mainly.
Someone said system is woke. I got a chuckle
Of
out of
course
that.
you like that.
Are you reading the quotes in the shitposting chat?
No, that was in the
Honestly, I love
YouTube
picking.
comment.
I love picking quotes from System. And
Yeah. I'm gonna post my favorite quote in general chat right now.
Alrighty, Math has joined us.
God bless America.
Please turn on your mics. Turn off your mics, my candidates. And we now, as we're back to the post show, and finally we have the head moderator of AGS Math.
What's up, guys?
All right, gentlemen. First question: how do you feel the debates went tonight?
I thought they went pretty well. I thought the debate moderators handled the debate well. I thought the questions were good. We got to a lot of major issues that I think people are interested in hearing about. Overall, I liked it. It was pretty entertaining to listen to. That's really my main thoughts on it.
Anyone else?
Well, I really liked the debate. I agree with Math. It was enjoyable to listen to. I think it was actually very reminiscent of a real debate, and I liked that. Can you please like say the question again? I got a little confused. I lost my train
What
of
did
thought.
you think of the debate?
Just what did I think of it over? Okay.
Yeah. it was a
So,
trick question.
I mean, that's about it. I liked the debate. It was good. I hope it sets a precedent. I'd love to see this again.
Alrighty, Mike. Any thoughts?
Yep, a couple thoughts. We kind of threw it together really quick. I think it went well. I think we should have done a little more planning. Maybe select the number of questions. I had like 20 questions on a piece of paper or on my document, and I just picked and choose from those. And also, I'd recommend that we maybe have it in the main Discord. Maybe set up a channel where people join and it mutes them automatically, and then we can unmute the people that need to talk.
I completely agree on both of those points. Planning definitely. For next debate, if we do another one, I will probably install an official timekeeper so we don't have to multitask.
Yeah, I was flipping on my phone and running a timer, so it was kind of a hassle a little bit,
I also think we should do audience questions next.
like a town hall.
Yeah, I think we should do town halls next.
You know, that leads to something that I was thinking. Like, we should do this not just during like election seasons, but also just intermittently. Like, you guys should just do this, have like town halls and things like that, or debates between like sitting senators and things like that.
Well, I hate to agree with Politifile, but that sounds like a good idea.
Now, gentlemen, which candidate do you think really showed up basically and stood out during this debate?
I'll take it first if no one else wants to take it.
You can go first.
I think Polk was the if you're going to award a winner, he was the clear winner. I think he came off as cooler, more calm-headed. He was more collected with his answers, and I think strategically that system made a mistake by allowing during the segment to where people could or the candidates could ask each other questions. I think he allowed Polk to really control the debate there, and that's where Polk scored a lot of points at least in my eyes.
I think Polk won the debate, but I absolutely did not agree with every answer he gave.
Pedophile?
Well, regardless of policy, which on certain things I didn't agree with both of the candidates. I think Polk really did shine in this debate. Polk brought in actual statistics to back up what he was saying, and I don't know how much he was able to plan for this debate, how much the candidates were able to, but I like that he was ready to give his answers. I think Math is right when he says that towards the end, when the candidates were allowed to ask each other questions, System made a mistake by allowing Polk to take control during that section. So yeah, I think Polk really shined, but I wouldn't say System was absolutely horrible though. I think he made a lot of flubs, a lot of mistakes, but I don't think he sounded horrible. I think he did okay.
I actually think that this debate will heighten people's opinion on System. I think he gave some answers that really surprised me that I didn't expect to hear him say. He said a few things that I actually, oddly enough, agreed with at times. So if we do end up doing this again before the actual voting starts, and the candidates are given more time to prepare, and the debate moderators are able to, put more time into preparing the debate as a whole, I think it'd be a lot of fun to see these two back in here again, and maybe include Shit Memory in here as well.
I totally agree with Math.
I will say, I think the debate overall, though, went really well. Does anyone else have any more points they want to bring up?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
All right. I guess we can take a moment to just talk about the election, how we think the election is going to go in general. So, what is you guys' outlooks on the election, both in president and Congress?
Well, I think with in all parts of the government, the president, the Senate, the House, I think it's going to be pretty close. I think it's going to be a close election between the left and the right overall. Poke made a good point in the general chat right now that the RLP is running unopposed in the North, which I think gives them a good advantage. But just looking at the debates, I don't think either side is doing very strongly. Which is why I say I think it's going to be close. I don't think there's a clear winner here. In the presidential race, I'm inclined to say that Poke is more likely to do better. I'd say overall in Congress, in the House, I think the RLP is probably going to have the most seats. The Senate, I'm not so sure. And that's about all I have to say. It's very murky, I think.
I don't know how the RLP did it, but they managed to secure Northern State almost unopposed. They have one independent running against their ticket in the House, but I think it's safe to assume that they're going to win. I mean, they're going to win a third of Congress, both in the Senate and the House, and that automatically makes the RLP, I mean, perhaps the biggest faction in Congress. So any of these other parties that manage to gain seats, you're going to have to work with a significant amount of RLP members. As far as the other races, I think Western, it has the lowest amount of House seats, only by one, but I think it's going to be very close between the Democrats, the Republicans, and the Libertarians. I think the fact that the Libertarians aren't running for any other congressional seats other than in Western, I think that helps them focus their voter base there. And I think that maybe they're going to see the most success in Western. I think as far as Southern goes, I expect to see the Democrats do pretty well over there. Maybe the monarchists to pick up maybe a Senate seat, maybe a House seat, but it's all going to be very close, with the exception of Northern. It's going to be very close. It's going to be very interesting to watch. And as far as the presidency goes, it's a toss-up. I think it's a toss-up between Polk and System at this point. I think it's too soon to make any assumptions about which candidate is going to win it, but it'll be interesting to see.
All right, Mike, you have anything you want to say?
No, I don't have anything else to say.
All right, moving on to some meta business, Math and Mike. How do you feel about the current progress the server is going through right now?
I've been thoroughly surprised at the growth that we've seen just over the past 2.5, 3 weeks that the server's been around. And if that growth continues, I think we'll have we'll have to expand Congress. We'll expand in state governments with state legislatures and governors.
So you're saying there's a high possibility after the federal elections that we may have state government?
I would say it's almost certain.
Oh, awesome. Mike, you are the fresh mod. You are the junior mod. How do you feel right now?
This is a challenge. This is a very active server, and trying to keep the conduct at an acceptable level is difficult. There's a surge of radicals that join, and they want to push the limits on everything. So it's interesting. We're trying to keep up and keep the rules fair for everybody. I came from the Libertarian Party, so I believe in civil liberties, but I'm also, a military person, so I believe in law and order and rules. So we're dealing with it, and I think things are going okay.
And Cody and I picked Mike because we trusted him personally, and as he meant, he sent me a message the day that we chose him that really secured my belief that he was the best person for the job, and that he believes in a strict adherence to the rules. And I think he was the best guy for the job, and he hasn't let me down yet. So I don't know. We'll like he said, it's a tough job to manage a server with. It's almost got 200 people now, and it's only going to keep growing. It's very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do, but we are doing the best we can, and I think we're doing okay.
So, what do you guys think about the channel wars that pop up every once in a while? At least that's what I termed them as in Model Talk.
What do you mean by channel wars?
The sudden arguments and that appear in general and shit posting sometimes.
As a
That are drawn
rule,
out for hours and even days.
As a general rule, I stay away from that channel almost always, but I do have to pop in every now and then. But as long as they, this is a political server, things get heated. We talk about controversial subjects, so there's going to be argument, and people are going to get, they're going to get passionate, they're going to get irritated. But as long as things remain relatively civil, that's all we're aiming for. Just relative civility.
Mike, as the new moderator, how do you feel about the channel wars?
It's very interesting. I don't know. I don't really have any comment on it.
I will let you both. I'll let you both know though that the Model Talk Weather Association is expecting a Category 5 channel war to appear on the election night.
I'd say that's a safe prediction.
But that does lead me to one last question here. So what is the mod's take on the Discord administration's so-called bias to the left?
Well, I think that's completely false because I am not on the left.
Well, it's not exactly a secret that Cody and I are lefted. Cody more so than I, but we try to moderate the server without any bias whatsoever. I mean, we pick Discord clerks from we don't pick them based on party affiliation at all. We choose people that we believe will moderate the server with fairness and adherence to the rules. And we've had to remove clerks because they've abused their powers before. It's something that's going to happen, and when it does happen, we'll deal with it at the time. But I don't know. Of course, it's hard to reflect on that when it's you who's being accused of leftist bias. But I just don't think that's who we are. I don't think that's how we've been conducting things.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Before we sign off, any more things anyone wants to add, or are we good?
I think we're good.
Good.
All righty, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. This is Executive Editor Bach signing out. Good night, AGS.